On December 16th, 2022, the Pokémon Company announced that a new series of the Pokémon anime would air in Japan on April 14th, 2023. Following a new set of characters after Ash leaves the series, having been the main character since April 1st, 1997. On March 24th, 2023, the official trailer was released on the Pokémon YouTube channel, revealing the name of the series as Pokémon Horizons, announcing that the Paldean starters would be the two new main characters' Pokémon. They will meet a whole new cast of characters, including Freed and his captain Pikachu, as they run the airship the Brave Olivine. So today we are going to check out the first three series, which are named Horizons, Horizons the Search for Laqua, and Horizons Rising Hope, and their highest rated episodes. But first, don't forget to like and subscribe as I come out with videos every Friday. And let's get into it. Horizons Flying Pikachu Rising Higher and Higher 9.0. Liko and Roy are talking to Dot, telling her that Captain Pikachu can fly after seeing it when he was fighting Roy's Fuecoco. They ask Dot how Pikachu became captain of the Brave Olivine, but she says he was captain before she was aboard the ship. Dot says she hasn't really thought about it, but is now curious. Liko and Roy are going to go talk to Freed and Cap, but Dot's not going, but she gives them a Rotom phone. Liko and Roy are making a video alongside Fuecoco, Sprigatito and Quaxley about solving the mystery of the Flying Pikachu. They open the door to the bridge of the ship where Pikachu and Freed are, and Freed asks if he can help. Dot, who is on the Rotom phone, says she is making a video. Then Roy asks about Cap's flying ability, which Freed says that he's just Cap. They leave feeling dissatisfied with Freed's answer. Dot says they should go ask others on the ship about Cap. Molly says that Cap has never really come to her or needed healing, but doesn't know anything about the flying. Maddox says that he eats everything he makes, but would need a lot of energy for speed and strength. Ludlow says that Cap lit the flame in Freed's heart. Without them, the Brave Olivine wouldn't exist. They then go to see Orla, who says Freed isn't being cagey about who he is just shy about reminiscing, but also doesn't like talking on camera. Orla tells them that they grew up in the Kanto region together until she moved to the Hoenn region, and the next time they saw each other was on the ship. Liko and Roy want to hear more of the story about how they all met, so Orla calls a meeting to tell the story. Cap and Freed storm in asking what she is doing, to which Orla says they want to hear their story. Everyone else turns up, so Freed says alright and starts to tell the story. Freed had just quit his research job, relaxing and fishing with Charizard sleeping behind him, and he is speaking to Ludlow on the Olivine. When he catches something on his rod, and it turns out to be a Slowbro, who waddles back to the water and jumps in. Freed lays down next to Charizard, says he is feeling lost until he gets a phone call. He then goes to a restaurant where he meets up with an old teacher called Miss Luca, who tells Freed she wants him to meet someone. He is riding on his Charizard when he sees Miss Luca again, and she wants him to meet a Pikachu. He's not impressed though, as he says he knows everything about them. She tells him to stop talking and watch. Pikachu starts to run in a circle, charging up his electric ability, and starts to fly, which gets Freed's attention and curiosity. Pikachu is tired and heads back to where he was sleeping at the start, when Freed approaches him and tries to talk to Pikachu, asking if he can study him, and Pikachu attacks Freed with a headbutt, though Miss Luca runs over asking if he's injured, running past Freed to the Pikachu. He has an injury on his tail, which Miss Luca uses a healing spray on. Freed asks where the wounds are from, but the Pikachu runs away from him. Freed chases after him, saying hey, but Pikachu gives him the side eye. Later on, Pikachu is sitting under a tree and is hungry. Charizard and Freed come with food. Pikachu then starts to do squats on his tail, but has no energy as he's too hungry. Freed and Charizard put the food on the floor, which Pikachu takes some to eat, and Freed notes he is not fussy on what he eats. The next day, Freed returns. Pikachu headbutts him in the stomach and then in the head, with Freed saying he was prepared that time. However, he uses an electric attack, which is too much for Freed. Miss Luca phones him to ask how the research is going. They are observing him when they say he uses Volt Tackle and then his tail to launch himself in the air, and then uses the tail to hover. Freed has also noticed that the Pikachu has no interest in fighting with the wild Pokemon, and he only flies once a day at sunrise. Freed has had enough of observing, so he gets Charizard to fly up to where Pikachu is. He realises that Pikachu wanted to just watch the sunrise from the sky. Freed and Pikachu give each other a thumbs up, but Pikachu has forgotten to move his tail, so he starts to fall to the ground fast. But before he hits the ground, Charizard catches him. Freed then asks if he wants to join him, and he agrees, so Freed catches him with a Pokeball. He asks Mr. Ludlow if he can have the Olivine, to which he agrees. He takes the ship to Orla, asking if she can change the Olivine into an airship, which she does. He renames the ship the Brave Olivine. Orla asks for payment, but he says it may have to be in installments. She however offers a compromise, saying she'll be his maintenance crew instead. He then makes Pikachu the captain, ending the story of how they met, how Pikachu became captain. Liko is surprised that her mother was Freed's teacher, as he never mentioned it to her before. Later on the ship's deck, Liko, Roy and Dot meet up, and Dot tells them the video is edited, and what do they want to do with it. They agree on not posting it anywhere, as some stories should stay private. Liko also comes to the realization that if it wasn't for her mother, then no one would have met, and they wouldn't be where they are now. They then reach the Gala region. This episode was interesting. Seeing a story about a Pikachu that could fly was something different and very unique to that Pokemon. Pokemon like to pull on our heartstrings a lot, and they normally give a sad backstory to how a trainer meets his Pokemon. But this one was quite nice, and it was just the fact that Pikachu wanted to observe the sunrise, so he learned how to fly. Horizon, the search for Laqua, where the adventure leads, 9.2. With the help of the 6 heroes, Pagagogo transforms into its stellar form and successfully purifies the Laquium on Laqua. Gibeon is mourning the failure of his lifelong plan, when his grandson, Amatheo, says he made a vow to carry on his name even without the Laquium. Lucius says that Gibeon was once a great scientist, and that's why Zygarde, who protects the ecosystem, joined him. Lucius tells Gibeon it's no longer their adventure, it's time to put their faith in the next generation, and Amatheo will make him proud. They both start to glow, saying it is now their time to go, now that the Laqua is purified, and he is no longer needed. Liko catches Pagogo as he and Gibeon start to disappear. Gibeon tells Amatheo to walk the path he believes in, and they both disappear. The ancient Pokeballs open, probably because Gibeon is no longer around, meaning that the Pokemon are now free to be wild again. Spinel says he is going to surpass Gibeon. He then reveals he has Laquium spears and throws them to the 6 Pokemon, affecting them. Cole and Sidian ask what he is doing, and Chalice says it is better this way and just to stay quiet. Spinel says that the Laqua belongs to the explorers. The 6 Pokemon heroes start attacking each other, destroying everything around them. The group says they are too weak, so they can't do anything to help. Liko shouts to the Pokemon, asking them to stop fighting. This gets Arboliver and Moltres' attention. They send an attack at Liko and the others, and they are almost hit by it. But Rayquaza saves them, and Roy says that the Rayquaza can handle the Pokemon. Amatheo asks if Onia and Zerk are okay. They say that they need to leave now. Amatheo nods to Liko. He then leaves on his Corviknight, with Onia and Zerk each on their own Skarmory. Everyone else puts their Pokemon back into their balls to rest, and Liko says she'll leave the rest to Rayquaza, and he goes on the attack. Everyone is running out of the forest, even the wild Pokemon. The ground splits open, causing Liko to trip and lose her backpack with the journal of the ancient adventurers inside. Free tells her that the memory of the adventurer will live on in them, then says he wishes they could fly right now. Then Hatcham appears, and Liko tells Free to let out his Charizard. Hatcham then uses Heal Pulse on the sleeping Charizard to restore its health. Roy uses his Kilowattrel while the others get on to Charizard so they can fly. The wind is picking up, but the two Pokemon power through, and Cap uses an electric attack to break an oncoming tree. They manage to get past the wind, thanking both Kilowattrel and Charizard. However, they are now on top of a mountain, meaning they will have to climb down. Freed, however, says not to worry as they have friends. Then the rising Volt Tacklers appear. However, the altitude is a problem, but Freed says they need to believe in them as the brave Olivine starts to go backwards. All of them presses a button that starts to transform the ship, giving it extra power to reach them, but it's putting a strain on the whole of the ship. They all quickly fly over to the ship, however the wind picks up again, causing Charizard, Cap and Freed to be thrown back, hanging onto the edge. Freed tells Cap to take good care of everyone, handing Cap over to Liko. Freed and Charizard then fall off the ship. A voiceover of Liko tells the audience that it was a year ago, and Liko is at school. Spinel is on the news saying that the explorers are researching the mysterious issues surrounding some Pokemon. Roy, Crocodile and Kilowattrel, with Captain Pikachu now wearing Freed's goggles, and a Lucario says let the search begin. The interesting thing about this entry is that it's after a big event. They had this battle with the 6 heroes and Pogogo, which the highest rated episode is usually the battle or the end of the battle, not usually the aftermath. Then at the end we get a voiceover of it being a year later, Liko's at school, Roy has Cap, starting their own adventure. The downside is that you don't see all the cool Pokemon battles like Rayquaza, Moltres and all that, apart from a small clip of when they went berserk from the Laqueum, but that wasn't enough in my opinion. Horizons Rising Hope. We are the Rising Volt Tacklers 9.3. This episode starts with Indy and Rubina getting their Tauros to use Raving Ball, but all dodge the attack. Masquerada and Crocodile are then knocked down. Sableye and Quaxwell try to attack but are blocked. Masquerada tries to use Magical Leaf on the Aqua Breed Tauros, but the Blaze Breed Tauros blocks it. Crocodile tries to Flame Charge, but the Aqua Breed Tauros counters it. They are being pushed back when Quaxwell and Sableye uses Aqua Cutter and Power Gem to save them both. Roy tells them to retreat. The Tauros continue their attack and they dodge again. Sableye uses Confusion on one of the Tauros, causing it to attack the teammate, ignoring its trainer. Dot figures out that the Laqueum is affecting the Tauros. They aren't listening to their trainers and using their own instincts, which is why they are focusing their attacks only on Pokemon that would be effective against it. The Tauros are going to attack again. Masquerada and Crocodile cross over, making the Tauros collide with each other. Then all 4 Pokemon attack together, defeating the 2 Tauros. Roy tells them that if they can't connect with their Pokemon, then they can't win against people in a battle. Indy and Rubina return their Pokemon. They then leave so they can go file their reports. Everyone is eating when Kana says she will dispose of the strong spears. Orla tells the team that she wants to join back with the Rising Volt Tacklers again. They say she can join the team, but can they use the brave Olivine again? She tells them to give her 3 days to make sure the ship is in tip-top condition. They all pitch in, however, to help where they can, so the ship can be ready on time. Molly and Murdoch also come back. Murdoch had actually called Orla asking if she would build a new ship, and she tells him it's his lucky day, as she has been fixing the brave Olivine. Murdoch tells Katie he is going back to the brave Olivine, and she gives him her blessing. Orla had called Molly, telling her about the brave Olivine. She wants to join, but she has to tell her mother first, who is Nurse Joy. When she first left, Nurse Joy wasn't happy about the decision, but this time around, she gave Molly her blessing. No one has been able to contact Ludlow though, as he doesn't have a Rotom phone. However, he is already there after hearing from the waves about the brave Olivine's upcoming departure. Before setting off though, Orla, Molly, Murdoch and Ludlow ask the kids if they can join the new Rising Volt Tacklers, which they say yes. Then Alt says they don't need to ask him as he'll join them, but wants to be captain. Everyone starts laughing and they tell him that Pikachu is already the captain. Molly, Orla and Murdoch take their positions on the ship, while Dot is looking through things and finds an encrypted message from a month ago. She manages to crack it, and it's from a still alive Freed, who tells them that he and Charizard are still alive, but are being watched by the explorers. He is finding the secret of Laquium, telling them to hold down the fort till he knows more. Orla cries from happiness, and everyone is celebrating that their friend is still alive. Murdoch says it's party time and the ship is ready to take off. Before they leave, Orla tells Kana thank you for looking out for her, and Orla gives her a Pokeball she made. Kana says that she will cherish it forever as it was made by her, making it unique. The ship finally takes off and Liko leads the group in their personal handshake, signalling the beginning of a new adventure. Spinel is talking to Indy and Rubina, who tells them to carry on with their research. He then says the rising Volt Tacklers shouldn't have gotten back together and they don't know what's about to hit them. This episode was actually the 100th episode in the Horizon series, also the 100th episode without Ashen. This one had what I wanted in the last episode. They had the fight with the Tauros, who then managed to defeat through skill. Then they had the sweet reunion combining the old team with the new, showing how much the group meant to everyone, and even though they thought they could move on, they missed the adventuring and being with people they care about. Hearing that Freed is still alive and is actually working hard to take on the bad guys was nice, them trusting him and knowing he doesn't need rescuing at this point. And also, side note, I didn't know Nurse Joy is Molly's mother until this point. There we go though, the highest rated episode of all 3 Pokémon Horizon series. What did you think? Have you watched the series yet? If you haven't checked out the video where I watched all of Ash's highest rated episodes from each generation, check it out. It's on the end screen or in the description. But until next time, I'll see you again.